We're here at Gobbledygook. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. In our last episode, we talked about the possible ways that people might have used the area around Göbekli Tepe. Hunting, gathering, settlements, all those things are well and good, but they don't really explain how this place got so popular in the first place. What made Göbekli Tepe such a special site thousands of years ago? Well, there are many possibilities, but it was likely the carvings that drew people back again and again. In this episode, we'll be looking at every type of carving found at the site and talking about what they could mean. Before we get started, remember to check out the series playlist if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes yet. It would also help the channel tremendously if you would hit the like button and subscribe, so make sure you're not already. Now let's start off where we left off last time. There are over 2,000 carvings at Göbekli Tepe, which is surprising considering that we've only identified 60 distinct motifs. That means that some images appear multiple times throughout the site. This includes human figures, hands, feet, flowers, dots, lines, and other random shapes. Of course, these are difficult to interpret since we have no idea what they meant to the people who created them. So today, we'll be focusing primarily on the more complex carvings, specifically those that appear to be animals. Out of all the animal symbols, the lion is the most common by far. These include lions in profile, frontal views, heads, and even a winged lion. Some scholars believe that the lion was a symbol of strength and power, while others thought that they represented a particular clan or tribe. Lions are frequently depicted in other ancient cultures as well, such as in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Interestingly enough, the lion is also an important symbol in both Sumerian and Akkadian mythology. For example, the goddess Nia was often shown with a lion's head or holding a lion in her paws, and the goddess Ishara was even called the Lion of the Gods. Next, we have the fox. While the fox is much less common than the lion, it still appears on many pillars throughout the site. Some have speculated that the fox may symbolize cunning and intelligence, since foxes are known to be clever and elusive animals. However, foxes are rarely depicted in other ancient cultures. One exception is China, where the fox was associated with immortality and magic. As a result, many Chinese myths feature foxes with supernatural powers. But what about the vulture? You may have noticed that many of the carvings show animals with what appear to be wings. Depending on the angle, these could be vultures, hawks, eagles, or even owls. There are a few key features that can be used to differentiate between them, such as the shape of their beak and head. But the truth is, without written records from the period, it's impossible to say for sure. The animals with wings were likely chosen because they could fly. Therefore, they had a connection to the sky and the heavens. Since humans couldn't fly, they may have been seen as having a closer relationship with the gods. Speaking of gods, have you ever wondered if the people who built Göbekli Tepe worshipped any deities? Some scholars believe that the snake may have played a significant role in their religion. Snakes are frequently shown throughout the site and take on many different forms. Some are small and curled up, while others are long and winding. This could indicate that the serpent symbolized fertility and rebirth. After all, snakes shed their skin and sometimes appear to magically regrow new tails. Others have suggested that the snake represented wisdom and healing, based on the fact that they were associated with the god of wisdom in many ancient cultures. Regardless of their exact meaning, it's clear that the snake held some kind of importance to the people who created these carvings. Another animal symbol that stands out to me are the bulls. These are usually shown in profile and appear to be charging forward. Bulls were important animals in many ancient cultures, including Egypt and Mesopotamia. They were often associated with strength and masculinity, and sometimes even deified. The bull's head was considered sacred by some, and its horns may have been seen as a symbol of power. Keep in mind, though, that just because something was important in another culture doesn't mean that it had the same meaning here. We shouldn't try to force connections where none exist simply to fit a narrative. With that being said, it's interesting to note that bull imagery is fairly common at nearby sites as well. For example, there are several examples at the nearby site of Saban and the nearby Cave of the Hands. Could this suggest that the bull was an important symbol in the region? Perhaps. But until we find written evidence, it's impossible to say for sure. The final type of animal I'd like to talk about are the gazelles. There aren't very many examples, but they are interesting nonetheless. Gazelles are graceful and fast animals, and they may have been seen as a symbol of agility and endurance. Alternatively, they could have been chosen simply because they were plentiful in the area. Whatever the case, they are an important part of the overall picture. Now, when I was going through all of the carvings, I noticed that there were some other motifs that didn't seem to fit into any obvious category. These include circles, H shapes, and other abstract designs. At first glance, they may not seem very exciting, but that's only because we're trying to view them through a modern lens. To the people who created these carvings, they may have had a much deeper meaning. For example, the circle has been a powerful symbol throughout history. It represents eternity, the cosmos, and the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. In many cultures, the circle is also associated with the sun and the moon. The H-shaped signs are also quite interesting. They may represent mountains, trees, or even human figures. Some scholars have suggested that they are stylized versions of animals such as snakes or beetles. Others have proposed that they are early forms of writing, similar to the Proto-Sinaitic script found in Egypt. However, there is little evidence to support either of these theories. The truth is, we really don't know what these symbols mean. What we do know is that they were likely used in combination with the animal carvings to tell stories and convey messages. In fact, some researchers have proposed that these abstract signs actually form the basis of a lost language. If this is true, then the carvings at Göbekli Tepe may contain an actual narrative. Imagine the possibilities. Would it be a myth about the origins of humanity? A warning about the dangers of the natural world? Or perhaps a recounting of a great hunt? Unfortunately, without written records from the period, we'll never know for sure. Now, as promised, I want to show you one carving that I believe holds the most important message of them all. Here it is. What do you notice? How about now? Do you see it? Maybe it helps if I zoom in. Still nothing. Well, here's a hint. When you rotate the image 90 degrees, you get this. This design appears multiple times throughout the site, but for some reason most archaeologists have overlooked it. Its shape resembles a zigzag line, and this isn't surprising since Göbekli Tepe is located in an earthquake zone. After all, southeastern Turkey sits on a major fault line. As a result, many of the pillars and animal carvings show signs of weathering and erosion. The zigzag line could be a stylized depiction of a recent tremor or perhaps an early attempt at recording seismic activity. I should point out that there is no mainstream evidence to support this theory, but I hope to investigate further in future videos. For now, I'll leave you with this question. Do you think these carvings are simply storytelling, or do they hold a deeper meaning? Was Göbekli Tepe a religious site, an astronomical observatory, or something else entirely? Remember to stay tuned for the next episode where we'll take a closer look at the layout of the site and talk about what it all might mean. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also check out my podcast on ancient history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.